if you went to a strip club and one of the rules for strip clubs was that the stripper's father had to be present, how attractive would it be to watch this, mid-20-year-old stripper with her dad sitting right next to her staring at you, right in your eyes? My guess would be a lot of these guys would not go to strip clubs anymore. And so that's what I'm saying is, if we want to overcome our sexually compulsive behavior, it's less about stopping doing the behavior, and it's more about changing your belief system so that that environment no longer makes this behavior viable. Overcoming sex and porn addiction is often viewed as something that you need to stop doing, right? We need to refrain from doing these behaviors. People will often put in, barriers in place, right? These different blockers and things on their electronic devices are trying to create all these stops so that they don't engage in these sexually compulsive behaviors. But I don't know if that's the correct approach. If we're continuing to lean on something else to stop us from doing those things, are you actually recovered? And how long is the sobriety going to last? You see, I always take a different approach, right? When we look at a compulsive behavior, when we engage in something that we do not want to do, but we do it anyways, if we really look at how that occurs, it occurs in an environment that allows it to happen. So what I mean by that is, if you believe that these certain things are going to make you feel a certain way, or if you have a belief system that allows you to objectify these women or turn these human beings into objects for your sexual pleasure, and you believe that this sexual pleasure is going to somehow fill this void for you, or fill this sexual need that you have, in that world where you have those beliefs around other people, these beliefs about yourself, these beliefs and understanding about sex and what intimacy is, in a place where you dehumanize yourself and dehumanize other people, and you remove all of the intimacy out of sex and it becomes a transaction, now these behaviors are allowed to happen. So if we back up and we go to my original statement, which was sex and porn addiction, it happens and thrives in a container, an environment that allows it to happen. What we mean by that is, if it's occurring and if you cannot stop, it is because you believe that that behavioral practice is valuable, is viable, is something that you need. So when we look at our programs in terms of how we change the mind and how all the guys come together in the group and actually shift how they think, what we're doing is we're changing the environment so that the sexually compulsive behaviors cannot happen. So what I mean by that is we're injecting humanity. And we're first injecting humanity back into ourselves. You see, a lot of high achievers and entrepreneurs have dehumanized themselves. They turn themselves into achievement machines, right? People who are accomplishing goals and making money and trying to stack up all of these impressive life accomplishments. But again, that's not what a human is. A human is somebody with feelings, needs, and motivations. A human has dreams and things that they're aspiring to. And none of those things typically have to do with achievement or capitalism, right? That is capitalism is a relatively new idea. And so if we dehumanize ourselves and we turn ourselves into achievement machines that don't feel and we don't think about our needs and we just go after our goals and we don't care about anything else besides achieving those things and collecting money or whatever it is that you're after, when you dehumanize yourself, it opens up the door to dehumanize other people, right? Because if you're not recognizing or seeing any sort of the value of the humanity in you, if you're just a vessel for achievement, then everyone else can become a vessel for whatever they're a vessel for. And in the case of what we're talking about today, women or men or whoever it is that you're attracted to, these people could become vessels for your pleasure. They could become a vessel for you getting your needs met, feeling love, connection, belonging, feeling wanted, feeling lusted after, right? So when we're talking about sex addiction thriving in a container that allows it to happen, if you've dehumanized yourself and dehumanized other people, and you're starting to look at life as a series of transactions to achieve happiness, that now allows these practices to occur. But if we re-inject the humanity right back into yourself, and we re-inject the humanity back into this other person, this sexual partner, or the person on the other side of this pornography, whatever it is that you're looking at, when we look at that as a person, a human being, with needs, motives, with parents, eventually with children of their own, it starts to change that environment. It starts to lose the allure starts to wear off. I always say we went to a strip club, and one of the rules for strip clubs was that the stripper's father had to be present. How attractive would it be to watch this, mid-20-year-old stripper with her dad sitting right next to her, staring at you right in your eyes? My guess would be a lot of these guys would not go to strip clubs anymore. And so that's what I'm saying is, if we want to overcome our sexually compulsive behavior, it's less about stopping doing the behavior, and it's more about changing your belief system so that that environment no longer makes this behavior viable. I think a most simple example of this, if you look at pornography, and the ideology is that, there's tons of men looking at pornography, and you can look at the view counts on the video, and it's like, well, I'm just one of 65,000 people who have viewed this video. And so it's very easy to justify that, all men look at pornography. When I was in middle school and high school, all my friends were doing it, and so I'm not really doing anything wrong. But again, look what we just did. We created an environment where it can happen, an environment where it's not a big deal. The examples of this go on and on and on. So if you're thinking about really achieving a long-term lasting recovery, it's really not about not doing the thing as much as it's creating an environment and a belief system where you don't want to do the thing. We have a saying in our recovery groups where we're not trying to achieve sobriety and count these days. We're trying to get to a point where we don't want to engage in these sexually compulsive behaviors. They're not even on our radar. They're things that we don't want to do. And in my opinion, that is not achieved through abstinence and stopping doing something or white knuckling it or making it the enemy. To me, it's about changing your belief system so that these things cannot happen in your life. You are someone who does not compromise your integrity, ever, for any circumstances, right? You never bend the truth. Somebody who always tells the truth. And watch, would a lot of these practices happen in an environment where you don't bend the truth or compromise your values? The answer is probably not. And so if we inject humanity, if we focus on our values around integrity and honesty and what it would be like to be a man of your word, right? If we focus on injecting humanity and making this world a safer place for women to exist, making this world a safer place for young men after us to come up, right? A lot of the reason a lot of us guys are doing these sexual behaviors is because we have seen other people do these sexual practices. So what if you became a person who stopped perpetuating this? What if you stood up and said, you know what, I'm not going to do these things, and these things are not okay, and these should not be normal practices? Right? If you did this, how many young men would see you to make that decision? And how many young men would you prevent from getting into the same problem that all of us have gotten into? Right? So again, when you're looking at your recovery and you're trying to achieve true, long-lasting recovery, long-lasting sobriety, I'm telling you, it's less about not doing things and more about changing your belief system so these practices can't happen in the first place.